In today's world, we depend on connected applications to make sure our processes run exactly as we expect them to run, also with the right data. And to become an intelligent enterprise, we need to take this one step further. To work real time, we need to work with events. And we have said it before, Jan.
A connected enterprise, an intelligent enterprise is a connected enterprise.
And if you are working on a modern architecture, it's an event-driven architecture. We should have prepared that. But today we have the chance to take a deep dive into the world of enterprise events, as we were invited by Solace and on their Benelux Solace Connect User Group, and it's an event about events.
Yes.
I saw that somewhere happening on the slides. It was really cool. An event about events. Solace wants to connect everything in real time in a modern way. And today we can find out more on their real-world advanced event mesh use cases, in the future of the platform and its solutions, and all that its engaging environment, all that in this engaging environment of the Heineken Experience Center, which is cool. But first, what is an event mesh? Who can explain it better than somebody from Solace? So stay tuned and to hear it from Emil. And without further ado, let's dive into our topic of today, the Solace Event Mesh. Welcome to HANA Café Nederland.
HANA Café Nederland is your one-stop shop for all things SAP. Grab yourself a coffee or tea and join regulars Jan Penninckhoff,
Yay!
Tom van den Broek,
Yeah, that's me.
with our guests as they chat about latest developments, innovations, events, or simply catch up. Let's head inside.
The nice thing of being inside right now today, Jan, is that we are having a beer.
This is probably one of the best locations I've ever been for a user group meeting. So cheers to that.
And it's already the second time, so.
It's still the best location.
The Heineken Experience.
Again, the best location.
Yeah. So, but yeah, welcome to our guests at the table right now. We have Annabelle and we have Emil. And almost regular, because last year we were also with you in our cafe. Thanks for joining, but thanks for inviting us.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a great success last year, so we wanted to repeat that part again this year too.
Yeah, and I wanted to challenge myself, so now we bring also some video equipment. Hopefully,
let's see how that works out.
So it's going to be a podcast.
And now it's time to ask the hand of your life.
the hand of your life.
Yeah, I wrote that.
How do we translate that? It's of course a Dutch saying. It's the hand of your life. So ask anything.
Yeah, it's ask anything.
Yeah, ask anything. So that's what we're going to do. So maybe Emil, to start off, can you explain shortly what an event mesh or an advanced event mesh is?
Well, that's starting with a difficult question. No, but an event mesh, of course, I can answer that question. Is a mesh of multiple brokers that operate together as one connection point for all your data, real-time data.
Okay,
that's a short definition.
Yeah.
If you ask Shawn, you will get an hour of answer, but they didn't.
We will invite him later in the podcast. But that's good to start off. And I thought that the interesting of the part of the day was that you really have customers on stage sharing their experiences. We're going to talk to Akzo as well, but they were having a very fast experience. They started in December and went live in July. Yeah, how fast can it be?
Yeah, they were very happy with that. Yeah, actually, that's what we have seen in multiple cases now. That usually the speed of the customer is higher than they expect themselves. That's a good way to put it, I think. Yeah.
I think it's because we have very good professional services.
Also, but yeah, it helps, of course, that everything is in place when we start, and then you can just execute. Yeah.
So how did you experience the day, Annabelle?
Better than last year, yeah. So it was again a very, very busy day. A lot of people. I think we had 40 people more than last year. So last year we had 85 external people. I think this year around 120 or something like that. Very good and interesting speakers. It's always a little bit scary at the beginning to actually see what kind of content they are going to share. So not everything is influenced by us. But I think it was a very strong speaking field this year. Better also than last year even.
Yeah, so I always like to hear the stories from real life experiences, and that's
exactly
how you inspire also the other customers, and that's what the user group is for, right?
Yeah, and unredacted. That's an important thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Unredacted, so that you have
they
the
tell their
authentic
own story.
Yeah, and they can be honest.
Well, one thing I noticed today is the sheer enthusiasm of most of the people that are present. Well, obviously, some SAP guys, well, they're different, right? So, but it's ingrained in their DNA. But all of the other customers, they were very enthusiastic, and it made me wonder if all of your customers are so enthusiastic and implement Solace at such a high speed. What is your justification for a user group day?
So first of all, not everybody is a customer. So even our prospects are already very enthusiastic. So it's even growing the ecosystem faster than that we are already growing it. I think it was a nice mix of like 30% partners, 30% customers and 30% prospects. That was also all the exec meetings we had during the breaks all about, to match the customers with the prospects we are currently talking to. But even the prospects are really enthusiastic already about us and about the way we approach certain things. And it can only grow from here. The only way is up.
Yeah, cool. How is the partnership with SAP working out for you?
One of the things that SAP is bringing us is at least that we get known in a broader sense to bigger enterprises, visibility. Yeah. Because, of course, we are a very small Canadian company, and this user group really helps to get our name out there. But under the wing of SAP, of course, we get access to the biggest enterprises in the Netherlands, and that really helps.
I noticed even that if you look at the presentations of today and the companies that were presenting, they are all SAP companies. All of them.
They all have SAP for sure, I think so. No, it really helps that SAP is opening doors and also, of course, introducing us to some of the use cases. So that's very good. I think there's more we can do and should do together, especially also looking at events. So this is hopefully a good example. But you are organizing also like the code jams, and then we had also some other occasions like the day we did for the Dutch Railways a while ago, where Giuseppe was speaking. So I think that really helps to not only, it's not about introducing us, but to introduce the concept, because I think part of the enthusiasm comes from companies that see that they can change their operations, improve their operations by going event-driven. And event-driven is usually not top of mind, but for them it means real-timing the business. That's usually the catchphrase that works. What happens if we can act faster? And it doesn't matter if you're Shell or SPIE or whoever, or probably not the, I will not say it in Dutch, the grocery at the corner of the street. But everybody wants to respond faster to what's happening out there, and that's usually the common driver that we see in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So and bringing that together, that even hopefully the next year you have 150 people or over 200 people in the user group.
So actually that would be a full house here. So we couldn't grow past 150. So we
let's not do that, because the location is really nice.
Yeah. So actually at a certain point we had more registrations than actually we could handle here together with the Solace people. So that was a moment that we thought, if everybody's going to show up. But apparently there's also a flu going around in the Netherlands, so we had a little bit more cancellations than we were expecting. So that was helpful in at least getting the room a little bit more accessible for everybody. But so next year we need a different, probably a different location. Yes.
Jaarbeurs?
Jaarbeurs, yes. Arena.
Oh, there is also some event happening in somewhere in October in Berlin.
Oh yeah,
SAP Tech Ed.
Well, hopefully you'll be there as well.
That would be nice. That would be great. And so besides then this event as for today, is the user group also active on different ways together with your customers?
Yeah, but we do have some other events like the roundtables that we did also last year, like one for energy and one for aviation. You see that some people are reaching out to each other directly. Of course, they don't need to do it via us, so that's growing. What I would, that's by the way a thing that also Harry proposed today, one of our colleagues. He wants to do more hands-on workshops, because there's usually different audiences. For a roundtable is more like the business people. The code jams are for the tech people, and I think we should try to get them all involved.
Sometimes if you have the tech people on your hand, then they will bring the business people as well, and then sometimes it's the other way around. But especially if you look at the stories from Akzo and also the other from Danone, that's real business stories.
True.
That's cool.
Starting off with a simple proof of concept, and then you can see where it ends in a conversation later with Akzo.
All right. And so also one of the booths was hosted by Chris, and let's invite him also to the podcast, because that's also community work to have this workshop, this 5-day workshop together with the customer, and then see.
And that's actually a very important one, because I think we did like 4 iterations of that now. The SAP rapid prototyping workshop, which indeed it takes like 5 afternoons in a week, but everyone also loves that. If you talk about enthusiasm, that's another way to get people happy. The rapid prototyping workshops really stick to and fit with what people like to see.
And there's another one coming up, so hopefully we can talk to Chris about that later.
Yeah, because then the nice thing is, of course, that people work on their own environment with their own data, and so if you leave, then they have a working
and they can
event.
show it to their boss in their own environment. Yeah, that works.
And show that to their business friends. Yeah.
Business boss.
All right. Thank you very much. And thanks again for inviting us over with our small cafe in the Heineken Experience Center. Thank you.
Next time, Jaarbeurs.
Jaarbeurs, Arena.
Okay.
We'll try.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Hana Café Nederland with your hosts, Jan and Twan.
Yeah, next to the table is Oussama Zoubairi. And Oussama, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Oussama Zoubairi. I work as a domain lead for development and integration within AkzoNobel.
Yeah, you just spoke about how you're using event-driven architecture within your company. And maybe you can enlighten us and our listeners, our viewers, to how you use event management at AkzoNobel.
Yeah, so we selected in December a use case where we are using event-driven integration to streamline and modernize our order process. So we did a pilot back in December 2023 where we deployed the advanced event mesh and deployed APIs to support our e-ordering process to really help our business to transform their processes and do more ordering through automation, through e-ordering, rather than using traditional technology like EDI.
Yeah,
23. It sounds like one of the front runners. At that time, SAP was only hardly talking about event-driven architectures. Correct?
Yes, indeed. So, we are also using the advanced event mesh as part of the proposition in SAP BTP, and indeed, we were one of the first ones, which also meant we had to migrate quickly after the pilot.
I suppose when you started off, it wasn't advanced event mesh yet, was it?
No, it was already the advanced event mesh. So we did start with the advanced event mesh, but then later we had to upgrade to the latest version.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the pilot, but during the presentation you also mentioned some amazing timelines. Mm-hmm. So it was really short. So also if you look at EDI, there you have really long timelines, but now with events, but you are probably better to explain.
Yes, so before December 2023, advanced event mesh and event-driven integration was not used within AkzoNobel. It was completely new technology for us. So we started with a pilot to first understand the technology. We selected a strategic use case, in our case the e-ordering use case, and then used the pilot really to play with the technology based on a real use case. And then, we evaluated that pilot, and I think we quickly realized the added value. And then, we went from pilot into a project and set up a cross-domain team to really productionize it, deploy on all 5 SAP systems. And by July, we onboarded the first customer.
That's really cool. So those
so fast.
Yeah, it's so fast and
so fast.
So fast, comparable to EDI, but also fast implementation from your side then.
Yes, and it's not that every API, we have 10 core APIs, and we've gone live one by one in different iterations. So we used agile way of working and developing these APIs and advanced event mesh in different sprints. So we focused really on the most important one that also went live in July, which is the place order API, and being able to support that end to end. And there we build on top of that. In a couple of weeks, we will go live with all 10 core APIs.
Nice.
And we can really use all of them.
And what about your customer then? I mean, so providing those APIs is one thing, but then you have customers that are supposed to adopt it, right?
Yes, indeed. So you need to first convince the business to explain to them what are the benefits, because there's an internal benefit for AkzoNobel in terms of automating and making the process much more efficient and more automated. So that is a business case from an AkzoNobel point of view, but then it's also explaining it to the customer to also explain to them what the benefit is for them. So I think we first started with one of the business units. We explained to them what are the benefits, and then together with the business unit, we identified the first customer that was also tech savvy, because it was also the first one. So you don't start up with the most traditional customer, but we were looking for tech savvy, technically ready customer. We explained the process. We spoke the same language, even though they were from Czech Republic. We spoke IT, and that really helped. We granted them access to the APIs through our API developer portal. We had to tweak some master data management, but quickly afterwards, I think in a matter of 2 to 4 weeks, they were online, and the first orders started flowing.
So it took them only 2 to 3 weeks to adopt your APIs to the full extent.
That's even faster.
Yeah.
Yes. It went really fast. So initially they had to get their system ready, but then the framework was up and running, and then we made the APIs available, and then they had to do some testing, and then we were live.
Yeah, and then I assume that those orders are going into your SAP system as well. And if you started off in 23, then from my collection memory, you weren't using S4 yet, were you?
No.
So this is something that is connecting to ECC.
Correct.
Which is kind of a miracle by itself, right?
Well, we had to get it to work, and especially the ASAPio communication authorization. But when we had that settled, then
So you implemented ASAPio to bridge basically the gap between ECC that doesn't have that business event handling framework to basically the advanced event mesh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly, because as I understood that S4HANA, there might be some cloud native functionality to handle that.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Exactly. So that's why I was kind of puzzled when you were initially talking on the stage that you were doing that already in 23, while you were not on S4 yet. So that's kind of an achievement by itself already.
That's what the ASAPio plugin comes in handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. You mentioned some enormous figures, like 5,000 interfaces, and they were all business critical. So that's interesting. 5,000 business critical interfaces running, 50 million messages, and 250 million of API requests. That's your current integration landscape, right?
Yeah, per month.
Oh, I missed that even.
Yeah.
Okay, that's per month. And then, so now you are with the event mesh. You are modernizing your integration architecture, and then you had this one nice statement. Maybe you can rehearse that again.
Statement.
The one small step.
Yeah, one small step for man, giant leap for integration. Indeed.
Yeah. So how is the experience with your IT colleagues now with this giant step for IT integration?
Yeah, I think within IT, I think we are convinced, and I think we were already convinced following the pilot. We are still training people, so we are part of the Solace adoption program, which also includes training on the technology. And within IT, we are embracing this and also working together with the architects to see what other use cases we can implement.
Yeah. So have you gotten any idea of use cases that are low-hanging fruit for you?
I don't know if they would be low-hanging fruit, but I know that in master data management there have been some discussions because there we're also doing some projects to standardize and harmonize. So that would be a potential use case. And product formulations and streaming product events and attributes, that could also be a potential use case that we're going to start to look into.
And now that you are ready, you're ready for the event-driven world, the event-driven architecture in your organization. what kind of actions do you expect from your customer to connect to you?
I already see that when you integrate more seamlessly, and that's what is happening with these APIs, you also tend to get more feedback. And that's something that we take very seriously. We collect that feedback, put it on the backlog, and then together with the business we prioritize that. And that's very helpful that you get that direct feedback from customers. I think we are still in the early phase of our journey when it comes to advanced event mesh. So I think there's still a lot of features that we can deploy and drive more events to our customers. And that's going to happen over time. I think we built a good foundation very quickly, and now we need to work from that foundation.
All right.
Yeah, I really like it how Akzo is going all in with this advanced event mesh. Like they don't even have S4, but still want to go on the advanced mesh and advanced event mesh. And then, when usual companies start with, things like A2A type of use cases, Akzo decided to go all in and try the B2B scenario first, which is kind of daunting if you think of it, right?
Yeah, but that's the power of decoupling then all your architecture layers.
Yeah, but given that it was a proof of concept first.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think what also helped us is that the previous solution, because we already had some APIs mostly being consumed by our e-commerce platform. They were built on more older technology, let's call it that, and that was causing some issues. So that was also a driving force to invest in this area, so that we could make the solution also more robust, more resilient by simplifying it.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, Oussama, thank you very much for being a guest in our small cafe here in the Heineken Experience. It's a big cafe, but thank you very much, and also thank you for sharing your story.
Maybe a very last question, very last one.
Is it a difficult question?
Because you said something about Formula One.
Is it a difficult question?
No, it's not a difficult question.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's a kind of a yes or no question. Because you mentioned there's this Formula One racing car that is using the coatings of AkzoNobel. And I was wondering whether the company that you were referring to that is now using Event Mesh is also the company that is applying that coating, so that you could say that basically Solace is and Advanced Event Mesh is part of Formula One, achievements that are currently being made.
Not yet.
Not yet. Bummer.
But maybe soon in the future.
Who knows?
You're ready to connect a lot of customers, right?
Absolutely. So we're working on really scaling up and onboarding more customers. And hopefully, that team will also become one.
Well, at least the APIs are there.
Absolutely.
And they're fast.
Yeah. That's ready.
Super fast, Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's HANA Café Nederland with your hosts, Jan and Twan.
Yeah, Jan, and we were just walking around in the floor here at the Solace User Group event.
Yes.
And there was even a booth on the...
there was an SAP booth.
SAP booth, but not hosted by SAP guys. How is that?
No, we have 110,000 people working in the company at the moment, I believe, rough estimation, and not one person for the booth. So
how is that possible?
We got maybe it's also smart outsourcing, right? You strike a partnership with a partner company, and then eventually you get them to man the booth.
But who was on the booth? Yeah, that's interesting, because it was not SAP, but it was someone from
Solace.
Yeah,
and his name is.
What's your name?
It's my turn. I didn't realize. Hey everyone, it's Christian here.
Yeah, and you are serving the SAP booth, but you are in the SAP Solace space for a long time already.
Yeah, so I work in the SAP partnership team at Solace. I'm fully dedicated to the SAP partnership team. I work with a lot of SAP colleagues across the globe with the product teams, and it's all about advanced event mesh for me.
Yeah. And there was even a demo running at your booth. The other booths are showing a lot of slides, but you had just a working demo.
Yes.
Which is good.
It worked, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. But
and then we found out that this demo, or at least the technology behind it, is actually not something that is proprietary or we keep for ourselves or just for a demo scenario. But it's
Was there
something-
for a reason?
it is there for a reason. Every customer can get their hands on this demo content, so they can actually go dive into the systems and try it out for themselves. And not only just SAP systems or Solace systems or something that's eventually close after, let's say, a week or so. Their own systems. They can get it running in their own environment, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that's when we thought, hey, let's pull Chris in the podcast.
Yeah, and tell him more about this program.
So we had a force.
And here I am.
We used a little bit of force. Maybe you can join in the podcast. No, that's just kidding, of course. But it would be great if you can explain a little bit about this concept, Chris.
Yeah, of course. So we do this rapid pilot program, as we call it. Try to run this twice every quarter. We've done this for over a year now. And basically the idea behind it is that SAP customers who want to get their hands on event-driven architecture, who want to try out advanced event mesh, we walk them through some sessions with BTP technology. So we show them hands-on how does advanced event mesh work. We give a bit of an intro on the technology, what is event-driven architecture and all of that. But more importantly, we want to get hands-on with the BTP and the SAP ecosystem, right? Yeah. So we do implement some scenarios where you can see events in action. First, we start with a simulator that simulates S4HANA events that we just start hooking up to some graphical dashboards, which you saw at the booth, right? So these are based on SAP's UI5 technology, and they're just really nice to show stuff happening, right? So visualizing events is usually stuff that is happening in the background, data that is flowing between systems, right? But if you can show it in a visual way, it makes it really alive. And so we have these dashboards that you can use to analyze the data, the events that are coming out of the S4 system. So we have product orders, we have master data being updated. I can see some stats about that, what's coming out of the demo of the ERP simulator. But we built this scenario up over the course of 5 days, right? Yeah. So you start with the simulator, you start with the UI5 cards, then we bring in Integration Suite. On day 3, we build out some scenarios with Integration Suite. So you learn how to use Integration Suite in conjunction with Advanced Event Mesh in an event-driven way. And then we add business process automation to the mix on day 4. So cool. You get to see some of that. Right?
Always happy to see process automation somewhere.
He's biased.
Yeah. I guess you work a lot with that. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's slowly building out the scenario, and then on day 5, we swap out an ERP simulator and we actually event enable the customer's S4 or ECC system. So at the end of this 5-day workshop, it's 5 half days, not full days, but at the end of those 5 days, the customer will have a working scenario where they can trigger events in their ERP or S4HANA system, and they can see them being processed in the UI5 cards, in the integration suite flows, and in business process automation. Right?
So it's an end-to-end scenario, all the way from S4.
That's cool, huh,
and
right?
the event handling in S4.
End-to-end.
Exactly. All the way through all the integration capabilities that SAP basically provides.
Yes.
Process automation. Don't forget process automation.
Process automation. And eventually ending up in a dashboard so that it becomes visible.
Yep.
And the attendees that are attending this, they have to register, obviously, go in there 5 afternoons or 5 half days in 1 week.
Yep.
And afterwards can call themselves experts or at least experienced because they have actually worked with it.
Yes, yeah.
In all the integration technology that SAP provides in order to power these type of scenarios.
Exactly that, yeah.
And this is happening at customer site?
No, we do these virtually. So we generally do one session for a time zone that works for Europe, Middle East, maybe up to India. It's what we're trying to target this year. And one time zone that covers the Americas. Okay. We're also trying to bring in some workshops for the Asian time zones that are further out than India. So currently looking for customer interest there. So if anyone happens to be listening in from Asia.
Yeah, it's Heineken Café Nederland, so probably not, but could be, you don't know.
You don't know who this company people are working for, right? Yeah.
But is it then one-to-one? So you are having this 5-day workshop with one customer, or do you have multiple customers in this virtual workshop?
No, so we try to do this with multiple customers at a time, but
Smart.
we do provide breakout rooms. So generally we do some sessions, like some explanations, introductions are in a joint room where everyone can listen in and ask questions, and but then we break out for the hands-on part. So if a customer joins up, and we recommend that you join up with a couple of people because we cover quite a bit of technology. Generally, you need some colleagues. There's very few companies where a single person covers all of these. So if you come up with a couple of colleagues, then we put you all together in a room, and you can then work on the hands-on parts together. So,
very nice.
And that's interesting dynamics as well, because I've attended one of these workshops, at least for the first few days. Sorry, Chris. I noticed that if you look at some of the customers, they actually had a conference room where all of the people were present, and then a Solace person was basically virtually to them.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team was basically there physically.
Okay. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That can happen,
And so, if you are interested, how can people find more information on this workshop?
Yeah, so we publish these dates with registration pages that we generally distribute through the SAP community. So get in touch with your CSP at SAP. They might know about that. We can also put that in the video, in the VOD notes or something.
Show notes.
So, show notes. That's the word. So that's how you can register with us, and we'll get in touch then and explain all the rest.
I think we need to find this communication channel to the CSPs. So being a CSP for 2 years and never heard about it is not good.
No, it was more at the solution sales side.
Okay.
Yeah, they were bringing it to the customers.
We'll fix that. We'll get you in the loop.
Because this is really powerful if you have this kind of concept with your customer, and they bring their own landscape. So when you leave, they have a working event mesh environment at their own landscape. That's great.
Yeah.
At least got something to start with, right?
Yeah.
Everything is pre-configured. Everything is going.
Yeah.
We found is like we often start with the theory of what the event-driven architecture and what the benefits are, which is all good, right? But at some point, people just want to see it in action.
Yeah. But seeing is believing. That's really powerful. Yes, I participated in the code jam, and of course, I knew the power of event mesh. But if you actually see it happening, that's amazing.
Yes. So. Yeah, hopefully there's some interest, people signing up for this, and we'll provide the links so you can join. Cool. So maybe we should also mention the dates that are coming up.
Yeah.
So as I said, we try to run these.
Hold on, I have something for that. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's go to the SAP event calendar.
SAP and Solace then.
I didn't even know you had the jingle.
I have some new jingles, Jan.
Always prepared, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're running the next one 24th of February to 28th of February. This one is aimed at the Americas time zone.
Okay.
So probably a little bit late for people in the Netherlands, but
it's good, and they can have the day job during the day, and at night they can learn about event mesh.
Maybe, yeah. So if you're really keen, sign up for that one. But for those that don't want to work in the evening or into the night, we're running the one soon after on the 3rd of March to the 7th of March for EMEA friendly time zone.
Cool.
So that will be, I think, in the mornings for the European people, because we're trying to cover Middle East and India as well.
When everyone is still fresh.
And everyone is fresh, exactly.
Yeah,
hopefully.
exactly.
So,
Interesting. Thank you very much, Chris.
All right. Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Heineken Café Nederland.
And next at our table is that we have Shawn and we have Sumeet.
And I just learned that it's probably a person from one of the hottest places on Earth and another person from one of the coldest places on Earth.
Yeah.
And they're kind of meeting in the middle now.
And can people guess which is which?
Interesting, Jan. Can you explain a little bit more on that?
Well, Singapore, I think, is 50 kilometers from the equator.
Yeah, about 1 degree north.
And Canada probably has places that are Arctic.
We do.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. So Singapore and Canada.
Yeah, so it's interesting when in the winters when I travel to Canada, let's say for a kickoff, we used to do it at a ski resort in Mont Tremblant. And in 24 hours of flying, I would see a 50-degree temperature change, 50 degrees Celsius, so from plus 25 to minus 25.
So how does it feel?
You have to be very agile.
Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, I can imagine.
Always coming back with a cold.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, but today we are at your user group event, which thanks for inviting us and collecting some stories. And so last year we also have been here, and so what we heard is a lot about AI. And so maybe you can explain what you're doing with AI at Event Mesh from Solace.
Yeah, so we'd love to do that. So, as enterprises adopt AI, they're using it for internal purposes, right? Typically for efficiency reasons. And the best way to do that is that the AI has to have awareness of what's happening within your enterprise. Okay? So we help support AI in two ways. First of all, by bringing real-time data from the systems that run your business into your AI systems so that these intelligent assistants are aware of what's happening in your business. That's number one. And that's through something that we call event-driven integration. Yeah. So as things change in your business, you bring that into your AI systems. That's number one. The number two is that at Solace, we're developing an agentic framework, right, for multi-agent connectivity. And it's something that we call agent mesh.
Yeah.
And this is where multiple agents work together to accomplish a greater task. Yeah. So a task comes in to be done, and one of the agents, the orchestrator, decides the steps that are involved, farms it out to other agents as subtasks who have access to the information of your enterprise, and it can do great things then as a result of that for you.
Yeah, it would be great to see that SAP agents are going to be friends with the Solace agents, right?
Yeah, because SAP, just like any provider in the world at the moment, by the way, has its own agents.
Right.
So I really hope that these agents are going to collaborate.
Yes.
So that when it comes down to bringing data from SAP to the AI, that the agents of SAP can start to work. But most of the customers that we have nowadays are not only using SAP. So it would be nice that there's a collaboration going on between the agents from SAP and all the other agents from those other software applications.
Yeah. And more so is that if you take a look at kind of, Joule from SAP, that effectively, provides what's called a RAG function, right? Retrieval Augmented Generation, right? And it would typically use HANA Vector DB to be able to do that. It's a common thing. And so this is where the Solace Event Mesh could be providing data in real time to HANA Vector DB for Joule to operate on. So this is one way that, from a technology point of view, these things can work together.
Yeah, that's one of the innovations that you mentioned, right? One of the innovations that you just announced, or maybe not announced, but at least presented, was about that Solace will be able to have the possibility to take events that are happening in the enterprise and then write them directly into a vector database.
That's right.
And hopefully SAP HANA
right.
is one of those databases, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're working on that actually, and because Solace Event Mesh is the SAP Advanced Event Mesh, it's the same technology. So we are actually now working with the HANA team doing that prototype to get some integrations going between the Advanced Event Mesh.
That will give even more options and possibilities and innovations and innovative use cases. That will be great. Yeah.
And if all those agents can start working together, like the ones on the SAP domain can work together with the ones that are running on HANA, for instance, on the vector engine, based on events that's filled up with events coming from external sources, together with the agents from, let's say, completely different applications, then you will have a very, very, very powerful AI, I suppose, that is running over your entire business instead of only domains.
Yeah, especially because the whole idea of the Advanced Event Mesh or Event Mesh is to bridge SAP data and non-SAP data, right? Because the data could be coming from anywhere. It could be coming from a CRM system. It could be non-SAP. It could be coming from a social system like Slack or Teams. It could be OT data coming from IoT devices. And agents could be anywhere. Like one of the demos that we showed earlier was the Jira integration for Trouble Ticket.
Yeah,
so you democratize the data and you make any agent work with each other, and then SAP agents can add more value to that data.
Yeah, we saw Teams included as well. So people were chatting to basically an AI in Teams, and basically same thing in Jira. So the application is starting to become irrelevant. They're all going to be AI driven or AI powered.
Yeah, and this is
Hopefully.
and this is where you can see whereas AI comes to pass, right? Where in some cases people are thinking again about a point solution about how to bring enterprise data to your agentic systems. If you have a more reusable, layered, real-time approach, like with advanced event mesh, then all of the events flowing on that event mesh can very naturally be subscribed to by any agent that is authorized to do so. Yeah. But it's very easy now for that real-time data to go to a variety of different applications, be they agents or not. And so, not building yet another point solution just for AI is a good thing, right? Because it creates reuse within your enterprise when you have this foundational layer.
Yeah, and you just also mentioned then Jules, our digital assistant in the SAP world. Is it also possible with AI functionality coming to Solace that I can have a prompt and ask for some integration, event integration with Solace?
So as part of what we've talked about today, which is our agent mesh, you can do exactly that type of interaction, right? Future, I think, integration with SAP is something that we are looking at doing, right? Because at the end of the day, AEM, supporting the SAP ecosystem is kind of critical, and AEM's intention is to bring data to various assets within SAP and non-SAP for the good of the enterprise, right?
Yeah, so if you see RAP events as an example, they natively go on the advanced event mesh, right? Similarly, you can have third-party events coming from other systems. And the more events that are flowing on the advanced event mesh, any agent, and we'll hopefully get to integrating more with Joule and over time as we mature this capability, but that would certainly be valuable. I think one of the points that was made in the demo was as more and more data gets liberated and on the mesh, and then as more and more agents get onto it, the effect is a multiplier effect because the intelligence gets multiplied, right? Every agent then starts talking to each other and they have access to all of this data which they subscribe to in a filtered manner. So the response that the AI capabilities are able to give is much more richer.
Yeah, and so is it... So I think, if you look at last year, then we need still to evangelize a lot about events ahead. We do not live in a synchronous world, we live in an asynchronous world, and we need events. And today, this, at least that was my feeling. We do not have to evangelize a lot more, but we now are going into, hey, what can you achieve? What more can you achieve, even if we add AI? Is that also your feeling? Are how customers adopting event-driven architectures faster now?
Yeah, so the comparative survey, I think we can share the screenshots of the survey from the same audience. That would be good, but we are seeing maturity. The analysts are talking about it. What do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because what Sumeet's talking about is last year at this event, we did an audience survey where they ranked their maturity with EDA, and we have that from last year. And then we polled the audience this year, many of whom were here last year with a bunch of new people. And there are far more that are kind of, further advanced in their EDA adoption. So you are right, there's still a lot of evangelization and education that has to happen because everybody knows how to do an API call. Not everybody understands events. But interestingly enough, I was just having a discussion here with somebody who was saying, I want to ask some basic questions about EDA and decoupling, which is all good because we're all new to things. But this light bulb went off where he was like, I totally get why I should be doing integration this way. All these problems that I had before, they can go away if I do integration in an event-driven manner. So I think it's great when you see people's eyes light up because it solves real problems that they have today, which is one thing. But then, to the point of AI, it then enables you to be much more agile in adopting new technologies and integrating, new SaaSes, new applications, and really moving the business faster.
Right? Were they talking about actual examples or
of use cases?
Yeah, but they suddenly had their epiphanies.
Yeah, so and one of them, which is quite frequent, is the HR use case, right, from hire to retire. And so they're in situations where, in this large enterprise, they would onboard an employee, and different systems need to be notified or need to be updated based on the type of employee. And so they talked about how they did that today, and the synchronous and kind of complicated integration process that they use now in their iPaaS and kind of the problems with that. And when we described how it would work in an event-driven manner, it all became so much easier. And in that case, that wasn't necessarily doing something new, but it was doing something that now wasn't going to break all the time. That was reliable, right? And that was extensible. So that was their aha moment of the stuff that I can do today, much less what I can do in the future even, which is even better.
Yeah, getting more real time, then it also means that you have to be stable, otherwise it's not real time anymore, of course.
Yes, because real time means bursts, right? And you have to be able to deal with that.
These HR use cases again are easy to understand. So if you look at the SAP blog, Schlumberger have implemented these use cases in an event-driven manner, and they've written about it. They also presented at TechEd last year for exactly these use cases, that if an employee's location changes, what happens on the back of it. But then we've also come across customers where the passport expiry date changes. For example, in the case of airlines, and then the rostering alters. And previously, this was a batch process. So while the passport has been renewed for the crew member and they are ready for the flight, but they are not allowed to board because the HR system and the rostering system or the boarding check systems were batch integrated. Versus, after all, it was just an event. I updated my passport, my expiry date is updated, all the systems should catch up instantly. And imagine the cost and the pain for not allowing a crew member on the plane who's actually, the paperwork is in place, but the systems haven't caught up.
Yeah, I also really liked how you explained all kind of events. There are important events, or what did you say? Crazy events, and significant events, and non-significant events. But maybe you can enlighten us a little bit on that.
Yeah, so again, for fun, we were just trying to categorize these events in a fun manner, right? So significant events, the example that I was using was the US election. Yeah. And it's a pretty significant event, world's biggest economy, when the leadership changes, the thinking changes. And stock markets, which again, for Solace, about 50% of our business historically has been capital markets. So when the US presidential election results were announced last November, the markets went crazy. And what that meant was, for our capital markets customers, like one of our customers had reported 188 billion events in a single day.
That come in, 118 billion.
Yeah, with a B.
And that's one customer, right? And they are the ones who told us that, and the system is stable, nothing fell over. There are other banks, we work with Citi, Standard Chartered, Royal Bank of Canada, Deutsche Bank, and again, some of them had pretty high loads. So that was a significant event, and we are proud of sustaining that load. And then insignificant events could be like no change in a temperature or a pressure sensor on a factory floor. But even that event is important because that is the state of the normal. So how do you stream that? Historically, they were being just pushed into historians, but those events can also be analyzed in the world of AI. And similarly, the crazy event was a fun video I saw actually on the social media feed, where this luggage somehow was rolling down the runway.
Living his own life.
Yeah, you can Google. It's a pretty cool video.
He's trying to escape.
Yeah, trying to escape and...
afraid of flying.
And so somebody is not going to get their luggage on the back of that flight. Yeah, but what was interesting was we've done use cases with video streaming as well, and especially for AI, because CCTV for eyes, video management systems are good enough. But a payload is a payload, whether it's text or video or anything. So we've streamed video for computer vision and AI reasons in a publish-subscribe manner.
Yeah, these are not weird, by the way. I was quite recently talking to a consumer goods company that said, we have plants, and in these plants, our personnel is supposed to wear hard hats, required. And if they don't, we get into all kinds of liability issues. So they also decided to analyze their video streams and stuff. And so it's not just a crazy event. It's a totally relevant and safety event in that sense as well.
Definitely. And on the factory floor, quality control sometimes. So we have customers who manufacture for example, diapers, right? So how do you inspect the quality of a diaper? Used to be done by humans, now it's a camera. And it's that feed and that is generating quality-related events. So there's more and more, like this video is a super IoT sensor, the way I think about it. So what can you do on the back of it if you can stream it in real time? And then do you handle it at the edge? Do you bring it in the core? All of those decisions are possible.
And then maybe it's some time since I last had to inspect diapers. But I certainly could have used AI for that.
Yeah. Okay. So what also, if you look at integration, so we are part of the SAP world for quite a time now. Let's stop counting. But so we solved the integration spaghetti with all the point-to-point interfaces that we had in the 90s, and maybe the file-based interfaces, and we solved that with an integration platform like this integration suite that we have as SAP. But still, and it was also what was in your presentation, that it's not enough right now. In these modern times, more real-time integration via an integration layer is not enough. So we need to go for eventing.
Yeah, I mean, eventing is a way of integrating, right? So files are a way of integrating, and APIs are a way of integrating. Similarly, events are a way of integrating. And all of these systems converge. So, for example, we have customers who have their master data still as a batch feed in files, right? So how do you actually have an integration, which we call micro-integrations, that Shawn elaborated quite a bit. So a file micro-integration actually reads this file. So it could be like 1 million records, article master or material master, and it publishes each line item on a specific smart topic with all the noun, verb, properties that we were talking about, so that downstream systems could consume the information that they care about. So for example, if you're a manufacturer of printers and inks, the plants that are making printers do not need to subscribe for the master data related to ink. But if this is a batch file, everybody will get the same very large file that PO back in the day had to process. Yeah. But now you only get the discrete information that you care about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of difference. Yeah. And also the use case that you mentioned, Shawn, about you mentioned some numbers when it came down to polling of APIs.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, and so this is not from us. This is actually from
a competitor,
another integration vendor, right? Yes, where from their experience, the number, like the polling efficiency, right? So if you're sitting there looking for a change in some system, right? Their measurements show that 98% of polls to that system return no valid data. So you can imagine being in a situation where you have an order management system and a bunch of other applications in your enterprise want to know about the changes to orders, right? Which can be very typical, right? Because as you innovate and bring new capabilities to your enterprise, other applications are used for that, but they need to have the real-time data. So if you have many, many applications pulling your order management system and 98% of those polls from many systems return no data, it's hugely wasteful, and you can go, and that should matter in this day of sustainability. But you think about the load that it puts on the system that is being pulled. Absolutely. And then what do people do? They have caching and they have rate limiting, and you think about all the complexity for no reason. And what event-driven integration does, or bringing events to your integration, what that would do is the applications that want this change, they sit there and connect to advanced event mesh, and they wait to be told of a change. And so then, even if you need to poll a system for changes, you have one application polling it, the micro-integration that Sumeet was mentioning, polling for a change, just one. And when that change happens, they push it into an event mesh, which can naturally then distribute this to multiple applications who care. Yeah. And so you could add applications who will receive these events without affecting the source system, without adding to polling, without anybody caring. And the event mesh has, basically infinite capacity of moving events around because it's so high. Back to the, 188 billion events, it's very high capacity.
That's that number sink in there. 98% for nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So that's also why I wasn't surprised when you mentioned Unilever and supply chain as one of the use cases that well, Solace is being used, right? Where you have, where's my parcel, where's my parcel, where's my parcel, all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a beautiful EDA Summit video that they've recorded where they've explained it's the journey of that use case is it started as a technology-driven use case, and this is in the video, so you can check it out on YouTube. Just search EDA Summit Virtual Ocean Control Tower. Where
we can really link it in the show notes.
Yeah. So where the technical team first drove the innovation by saying that, we started by tracking our supply chain in real time by creating this ocean control tower. And then when business started to understand that events are really more associated to business than APIs, so what we were told by our Unilever colleagues that business understood events because they're nouns and verbs, right? So port of source changed. Business understands that. It's not an API call. So they started to encourage the technical team to put more and more events, and sustainability events came in, and efficiency events came in, and they've been using this. They blogged about it quite a bit, actually. It's a pretty cool solution.
And in terms of just, if I throw out another event-driven use case, and Sumeet will fill in on this one, but one of our retail customers is deploying our technology in 17,000 retail stores, grocery stores, where there are perishable goods. And so then in real time, they are notified as customers buy goods and what those goods are. And so there's many things you can do with this, right? So they automatically update an electronic receipt that you have in your app that does a whole bunch of things. But interestingly enough, it allows them to track the perishable good inventory that's in these stores in real time and then react in real time. So now as you can have electronic price indicators on your bananas, you can be tracking the fact that you have lots of bananas left over. It's 4 o'clock, the store closes at 6, and they know from historical reasons that people don't buy a lot of bananas maybe on this day of this month. And so what they can do is they can automatically reduce the price of those bananas so that, well, A, they make more money, B, there's less wastage of food, all of which are good things, right? And the sophistication that you can do with this, depending on your historical information, then allows you to do these types of price adjustments, better and better over time.
Data is gold. So this was not possible a few years ago.
Yeah, but it used to take them 24 hours for a master data change in SAP for it to go into the pricing system. But let me give you an interesting take on this, right? So let's say, I'm from India. We are sitting in Netherlands in the Heineken Experience. So let's say there is a hockey match between India and Netherlands, and Netherlands, of course, these days is a better team, and Netherlands beat India. So you want to discount Heineken beer only in the Netherlands, not in India. So you update a master data change, and because these are based on smart topics, only the stores in, let's say it's the same chain that goes to both countries, you can have the targeted discounts applied only to stores in the Netherlands. But then Netherlands has also started to play cricket now, and we know what the result is going to be there. So now you want to discount Heineken in India. And all of that is possible by just watching trends and publishing the right master data.
So that's where not only data but also, again, AI comes into the mix. That is going to decide based on all those factors like the weather. In the Netherlands, it's very important. Weather influences the consumption of beer. But also events like Queen's Day or King's Day, as we call it nowadays. Sports definitely influence the consumption of beer. So if you have an AI that's taking agents, I'm thinking full circle, right? So if you talk about have an AI that's having all these agents in those distributed systems like SAP, like for stock counting, in your weather forecast, in your connected to your sports predictions or whatsoever. You can basically send out those lorries or trucks with crates of beer on the road already to just fulfill the demand that you feel coming up.
Exactly. So again, the more events on the mesh, the more you can tune in, the more you can take decisions, and then the more decision events back into the mesh. So it just keeps getting better.
And frankly, the more you can innovate, right? When you have easy access to this real-time data, these things that we're talking about now, people don't think about that when they first deploy eventing. The same way as JDE, when they were here in their presentation, they talk about their order management system that is completely event-driven, and they were able to add agentic AI so easily to that because all that real-time information that they needed the agents to work on was already flowing over their event mesh.
Yeah.
So the business agility is kind of off the charts, you know?
Yeah, that was a great example. Yeah, great example.
like it.
If you have the right architecture in place and you have the data in the right quality, then options are limitless.
Ooh, that's a good one, Ton. The data in the right quality.
That's
I learned something else, especially when it came down to JDE and you talking about your innovations. A term that I picked up was the knowledge graph. Correct?
Oh, you have one knowledge graph as well.
At home, you mean?
At SAP.
Cool.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
But you were talking about an innovation with regards to knowledge graph as well, right?
So the other customers were, and I know Sumeet, I think you were touching on that.
Yeah, so see, from a knowledge graph perspective, what we are seeing is, you want to have, especially as you get into data as a product and you want to understand full cataloging and you want to see what are the dependencies of which data in what manner. So what we've seen customers is they've taken events and with all the operational things that they do with it, they also insert those events into a graph database, right? And then with that graph database, you can have correlated queries to create a knowledge graph and create predictable patterns as to how your data is actually structured. And then again, from an AI perspective, you store this into a vector database, right? So relational, graph, vector could all be destinations of the same data because its nature is published outside.
Yeah, so one last question. Or maybe always when I ask the last question, Jan comes with two other last questions. But let's see how that
goes. One.
Yeah, exactly. So I think today is a day of inspiration. You have a lot of use cases that are presented by customers over what they have achieved. Also, the latest product developments that you are going with Solace Event Mesh. So hopefully some of our listeners or viewers are really interested and I like to start but I do not know how and maybe it's really difficult. So what is the first step for a customer who is now interested, they have some integration, they have the right data but is interested in Event Mesh? What is your advice?
So I think the easiest way to get started, especially for SAP customers, if you go to Discovery Center and luckily Advanced Event Mesh starts with an A, so it's
it's on top of the list.
So if you go there, and there are some getting started guides now, and we've come a long way in the last year.
And reference architectures are
there. There are blogs, so you can get started there. Again, if you go to code labs that we host, so that would be an easy way to get started. Of course, our people are willing to help. Happy to have a chat about use cases at all times. But start with the basics, start with the fundamentals, start thinking in an event-driven manner, and then the technology piece is easy, right? People will just pick it up. But can you actually think about your events in that noun, verb, property? That's the first step. Yeah. Because once you get that exercise going, then it's just, getting used to API calls, or now it's even much better integrated with Integration Suite.
Yeah.
So for example, if you define these flows in the event portal, which also, by the way, is soon going to have AI in there, so you can actually describe when it will draw out the process, and then we can generate an iFlow automatically through that. So it's never been easier.
Yeah. But thinking differently, so let go of the old paradigms that you have in your head, in your business, but let go of that and think in events.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the other thing that I was going to say as well, that is part of Sumeet's team, you want to talk about rapid pilot, which...
Yes, so that's the other thing that we often do. So we have a roster, like every month we do a rapid pilot in different time zones, so American time zone, European time zone, Asian time zone, where we invite customers to just come with BTP credits and they can just try. So it's a 5-day exercise.
Oh, that sounds like our lab from a few years ago, right? That we have a 5-day innovation with what we call the SAP Cloud Platform around those days. But
yeah, but it's really different. It's really to get your hands dirty on.
Okay, so it's more co-jam of 5 days than instead of us doing a pilot.
Correct.
Yeah, this is you actually doing things. And we'll give a shout out to Scott Dillon. So those and maybe a lot of people in the SAP community who know Scott. He's very well connected. And so Scott,
he's a rock star.
Yeah. So if you guys know him, maybe he's been on here before. But he's great, and he's the one who runs these. And so he has this great blend of deep SAP knowledge and the Solace event-driven knowledge. And so he can really marry these things together really well, to Sumeet's point, get you thinking about events and not synchronous calls, right? Free your brain of that, think differently, and now get into using the tooling that makes this possible, right? Makes it easy.
And can I find the calendar for that somewhere, or we just reach out to Scott? Or
we'll get it.
Reach out to any one of us, but we are going to start publishing the schedule as we get more and more organized.
Yeah, it will be great. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
No more questions.
No more questions. All right. Thank you very much.
I feel pressured.
For inviting us to today's user group. It was really inspiring, and a lot of customer stories that are really great. Thank you also to our listeners, to our viewers, for this Heineken Cafe episode, and hope to see you next time.
Yeah,
thank you. Until next time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Heineken Cafe Nederland. Jan and Tom loved having you here. Drop us a line if you have any thoughts or want to be on the show. We'll be back soon with more SAP goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.